New patch notes incoming from the Pre-Patch Podcast. Make sure to check them out.
Something that I've been playing over the past couple of weeks when I can actually play. I know I'm a little late to the party. It's been out for a while. It's been out for like a month and a half almost. I am extremely late to the party, but I've been playing a little bit of Soulmask. If you guys don't know what Soulmask is, it's a survival kind of like I'm trying to Conan Exiles almost. It's like a survival MMO, quote unquote MMO, right?
Was that a parry that you just did?
That is a parry. Yeah, they do have a. It's basically Souls-like. It's basically a Souls-like game. Yeah. So this game has a very interesting system in it, right? Like when it comes down to Conan Exiles has thralls, right? It has that system of you go out, you obtain thralls from the world, you bring them back to your base, and those thralls do things for your base, right? You can go out in the world and get like a crafter that then you can craft like sets of equipment for different factions and everything like that, right? This game has a very similar aspect to that. These enemies that are being fought right now, right? You can technically take over these enemies and bring them back to your base. And each of these enemies has certain things that they can do, differently to the other people. There's certain ones that are crafters.
Pow World.
Yeah, basically, it's like Souls like Pow World, pretty much. Yeah.
There you go.
Just with humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, each individual one of these has certain things that it can do better than others. There's crafters, there's gatherers, there's hunters, there's warriors. The thing that this game in particular has in different from Conan Exiles is that there's a system inside of this game that your main character can actually take control of these thralls, right? So like you have this mask that you level up that has different abilities, and that boosts stats when you level it up and boosts experience gains and everything like that. You don't really play the game as the character that you've made at the start, right? The entire idea of it is like your starting character is basically the leader of the tribe, and then once you get a tribe, you basically go out and scout out thralls or tribesmate as they say in this one. You scout out tribesmates that have like decent combat mechanics to them, like better combat skills to them, and then you use those specific tribesmen to go out and take on the world, take on the contents in the world. Which is very unique when it comes down to these kind of types of games, because most of the time when it comes down to it, you're leveling your own character, and then the tribesmen are kind of like backup characters for you, right? Those are right. your people that you leave back at base, and they do all the shit that you really don't want to do, right? In this game, that is the case, that you still do that, but you actually have to like put in the work to find a thrall to be able to go out and take on these big bosses, these big bases and everything like that are out in the world. So it does have Souls-like tendencies when it comes down to that. They have like a lock-on system, they have a parry system, they have a dodge system, they have a rolling system, everything like that. And they do have.
Assuming if your thrall dies, you lose that thrall.
For in the very early game, there is a way to later on in the game, once you've gotten to a certain point of progression, you can actually revive thralls if they've died. But yeah, very early in the game, if a thrall dies, you're screwed.
You just got to replace him.
You just got to replace him. Yeah. So yeah. It's very, very imperative that you do find thralls that are very good. But like I said, they're very kind of throwaway at the start of the game. When it comes down to that kind of stuff. So it's an enjoyable time. I've actually quite enjoyed my time with it. It's in early access. And the best part about this game is like there's just so much content to it, dude. Like they have so much in the game for early access. I've been impressed with how much content is actually in the game. I've known people that have put 200-300 hours in the game and still aren't finished with it, right? And this is early access. They're still adding things into the game. They're still adding bosses. They're still adding masks, everything like that. In fact, they just did a new update, or they're doing a new update upcoming, where they've heard the community. The community has kind of come out and been like, hey, we don't like the fact that our main characters are useless. Because once you find a thrall like this, right, your main character, you never touch your main character anymore, right? Unless your thrall dies and you have to resurrect back into your main character, right? So all of the community kind of went in an uproar and were like, we want our main character to be able to do stuff other than just sit back at base and be a waste of space, essentially. Yeah.
Craft and shit. Yeah.
Right.
So the developers actually came out today and were like, yeah, this is why we wanted to go into early access, was to see what our community wanted. And we hear what you guys are saying. This is what we're going to change. We're going to make it so that your main character can actually level up further than it was. Previously, it was locked to I think 40, which is skill levels, right? And where main thralls, like actual thralls, I think can go up to 90 if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more. So yeah, it was definitely a huge handicap if you were like, I want to play just my character, right?
Right.
You were screwing yourself over hardcore. So that's
probably more my style too.
Yeah, I mean that's more my style people as well, for sure. So they're kind of trying to push that a little bit, and they've fully come out and said basically, hey, whatever, we do listen to the community. So if there's something that you guys think is something that would work well for the game, just let us know. We will do our best. They've already stated that, again, like I said, they want to put in more masks, each individual mask. I don't know how many there are, but I think there's quite a few. I think there's 9 masks in the game, plus or minus, give or take. And each of those individual masks does different things. So there's a mask for people that like to do ranged combat, right? So Scruffy, I know you like to do bows and arrows and everything like that. That mask is for you because it actually gives you better damage when it comes down to using bows and spears and everything like that. There's a mask that makes it so that if you're the kind of person that wants to have thralls, have a lot of thralls and take thralls out to go on combat with you, there's a mask that boosts your thralls health and damage output and everything like that. So
yeah, that's cool. Now I really don't want to poo-poo on a game that you're enjoying or anything, or others are enjoying, but I mean, the combat to me is just looking a bit rough around the edges. It's looking a bit disjointed, specifically the melee combat, and maybe I'm just seeing the hammer right now gameplay with, but also I've seen some of the dual scimitars, and it's just especially the finishers just seem so out of place in it all. They take away from the actual flow of the combat.
It can be, yeah. There are certain combat. There are certain,
and it's early access, so
I'm hoping that they'll iron that out a little bit, because there is the dual blade has an attack that I think we just saw. It was when he jumped up in the air and then he did a spin, right?
Yeah.
But if you're locked on, it also kind of jars you and flips your.
And now that
Holy
the game
crap, that dude's fast.
Looks cool and everything, it looks good, but that right there, it would dissuade me so much from playing this game right in its current state.
I mean,
a viewing standpoint,
it's not for everybody. I will say it isn't for everybody. There is definitely a little bit of a jarring effect when it comes down to the combat. I think the hammer is the worst right now. It does feel bad. The hammer feels I think the worst. I think the next one that I'm really not a fan of is the dual handed sword, the big sword.
Yeah.
That one feels
the bow combat really seems all right. But
yeah,
to me that's pretty simple.
How's the stability of the game? Is it buggy? Is it pretty
honestly
stable?
for an early access game? This kind of reminds me of almost like Valheim. When it released, there was just a ton of content to do, and it was a solid release. There wasn't a ton of bugs or issues really. I do know that my friend Vexer was having a little bit of an issue recently. He got to the first dungeon. And when he went into the first dungeon, I can't remember what it was that he was having an issue with, but it deleted progress. It just forgot that he had progressed in certain aspects of the game. So he actually had to completely redo his. I mean, he didn't have to. He got out of it and was able to get everything back. But anytime he would enter back into that dungeon, there was some kind of a situation that would happen. So he went and got a server and just restarted from that point forward. I do believe that they've fixed that bug. I haven't really heard of too many people having a ton of issues. The biggest complaints that I've heard of so far is again the not being able to use your main character, which a lot of people were not happy with, just because not just because the fact that it's your main character, but the fact that your main character doesn't do anything. So if you're not using it, it's literally just somebody sitting in your base not doing anything. They don't get up, they don't move around. They're just literally wherever you parked them, that's where they're at. And then they don't do anything. So it's one of those situations where it was like, it's just a waste of space essentially in my base. But other than that, I think that I think I paid $30 for it, 30 or 40. I can't remember how much it is exactly. Let me go and check. For the amount, 30. Yeah, it's $29.99. For $29.99, you can get hours and hours, hundreds of hours worth of content. If you're a fan of these types of games, like the survival MMORPGs like this style, you can get hundreds of hours worth of content off of this early access game easily without issue.
It's not only a first of the developer Campfire Studio, it's also a first for the publisher.
Yes. Yep.
Cool Land Games. So
yep, and they've been doing a really good job with it, man. I've been thoroughly impressed. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Soulmask.
Nice. I wish them the best.
$29.99 on Steam. Go and check it out if this looks like something that you would enjoy. I think it's worth it. I really do. So,
hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the patch notes. And if you want to join us live, we stream every single Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Also, if you miss a show, you can always catch us at anchor.fm/prepatch podcast or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the show.